So welcome to Be Your Brilliance. How about we play with vaccines and COVID and all these wonderful, delightful topics today? Um, I wanted to get to the place where it's like, how do you find your truth around the whole debate as to whether to use vaccine, not use vaccine? Like, is it actually healthy for you, or is it going to kill you and everyone who's ever taken it? Like, and all this information is out there. And it's like, why is all this crap so tangly and difficult? How do you untangle from it? And how do you find your truth, that subtle inner knowing that you kind of know you have, but doesn't seem so obvious in this topic? And that's kind of what I want to play in today, is how can we sort out, like, I've learned over, I don't know, last decade or whatever, how to immerse myself in some of the gnarliest, tangliest stuff. And I need to survive. So I dig myself back out again. And I've gotten so good at doing that that I no longer get concerned about diving into the yuckiest things I can find, because I know I can just get back out again. And that's just been experience. But I want to kind of show you what I do, or explain how I do what I do, and guide you through that. It's like, what if you actually can release all of the weird ass viewpoints that are out there around all of this stuff, and how can you find what's true for you? And I'm not pushing a specific viewpoint. I don't care where you go with it. To be straight up, I'm at a point where I'm kind of leaning towards no, but I don't have a reason for it. It's just a sense of awareness of, no, not right now. This doesn't feel relevant to me. And I don't have the difference between awareness and the conditioned belief patterns that this society gives you is, awareness is kind of subtle and you don't really know why. You just know, no, something just doesn't feel right here. It's that gut feeling. It's like, no, something doesn't feel right here. And why? I don't know. And could that change tomorrow? Maybe. Not likely, but maybe. But it's like, how do you dig out of all the noise and all the chaos and get back to what are, to me, the core things? It's like, what are your odds of getting COVID? How bad would it be? What are the odds that it would be damaging? And would the vaccine benefit you or not? And these, by the end of this call, my intention is to get you to a place where you can find your truth on those 4 categories. See just kind of what's up for you. And some of that for me comes about in the understanding of the big picture. And I want to kind of land the big picture, and then we'll dive in and start playing in the polarities of it. But it's like, if you think what's going on out there in the world is just, there's just this virus and then people are handling it, or, you know, something's not right or whatever, you're missing kind of the bigger picture. There's actually an information war or information warfare going on out there. It's not about truth. It's about control. And this is what screws with most people, is they think that the government or society, or I'll say governments, are aiming to give you the truth. And they're not. It's about control. And you think that the people who are on the opposition to the government side are about the truth. And it's not. It's about a different control. Like, this is a war of ideology and clicks and profit and energy, attention. Like, you are what you're the resource they're battling over. Your mind, your thoughts, your actions, your emotions are the battleground and the trophy, as it were. It's like, if governments can get your thoughts, actions, and emotions in alignment with their program, then they retain control. And to me, the whole COVID thing is, I call it the virus of control. And you can see the different fractions. In the past, it used to be that uh, the whole struggle for control happened between the higher level players, the rich and the bankers and the government people, the politicians. Like, they struggled for control quietly behind the scenes, and every so often somebody would die and weird things would happen, and countries would go into war for no apparent reason whatsoever. It's like, that's all about that control. It's like, that's the game that's going on back behind the scenes. But then with internet and kind of where society's coming, they've moved out, they've lost control of the old paradigm, and it's now this kind of decentralized thing. And all of a sudden, it's governments are starting to pay attention to how do people feel about, what are people saying on Facebook? Like, in the past, governments could give a shit. Like, who cares what people say on Facebook? Now governments are starting to pay attention to that. And why? Because they realize they're losing control. They've lost control of the media that used to put out their message and give this sense of, there's one agenda and there's one truth, and we've got handle on this, we're in charge of this, and just do what we say and this will all work. And people aren't buying it anymore. People have seen through that, and so they're scrambling for gaining control. And at the same time, let's say YouTubers and other people who've realized that they can get their voice out over the internet are scrambling to gain control away from governments and such. So I want to, and this may seem overblown, but the more you dig in it, the more you find that what's going on underneath there isn't necessarily about what is true or what is correct or what is good or beneficial even. It's about control. And it's convoluted, it's very tangled. But the kind of the overall thing that I've come to understand is, you've got on this side here the pro-vaccine, like, the governments have decided on your behalf that this is the best solution. And therefore, because we have decided, we're going to hand this to you and say, here's the best solution. And then when a lot of people didn't race for it and go, oh, thank you, Savior, thank you for bringing us this vaccine solution, they're like, well, we'll encourage you to take it. And when that didn't work, it's like, well, we need to force you to take it. And they have all these points of view that cause them to get stuck in these weird places. And so it's like, in their drive to control, they're not necessarily telling you the truth. They're telling you what they think you need to hear. And they're hiding from you, or masking, or trying to subdue the things that they think are not useful for you to hear. But in the past, they were always successful at that. Now it's not working. They're losing control. And so they're overplaying their hand to be even stronger. So they know that the vaccines aren't completely safe. They know that there's a certain percentage of people, I think according to the CDC, last time I checked, which was a week or so ago, there were 6,335 or something like that. It was a 6,000 number of people who have died from taking the vaccine. So it's like, yeah, but you can't tell people that. You may die, you may not. It's kind of like Russian roulette. They're not going to say that. They're going to say, well, for the most part, out of millions and millions and millions of shots, only 6,000 people have died. They consider that a beneficial trade-off. But we, as aware beings, feel that. We feel their lies, And what that does is it fuels the people digging to find what are those lies. And in their zeal to find what the truth is, they look for like, and that's where all this conspiracy stuff, and it gets really dark. It's like, well, yeah, they're all pedophilia Satanists that are all trying to, they're trying to do depopulation, and they want to kill off 90% of the people. You can find that viewpoint out there and tons of arguments for it. I don't buy it, because if they're going to do that, they're killing off the stupid people, and what's going to be left are, if that is true, I don't think it's true, but they'll be killing off all the stupid people who agree, who they want, and what would be left are all the people who don't agree and don't follow the rules. It's like, okay, so if they were trying to do depopulation, this would not be the way to do that. Okay, you're killing off the wrong people. So it's like it's like there's a game on one side, and then there's a counter game, and the counter game sometimes has nothing to do with truth. It has to do with polarity. The government goes way overboard on this side and says vaccines are completely safe. And so the other people on the other side go way over to this side to try to counterbalance it. It's if you think about it more as this warfare strategy of, well, they have this intense lie over here and people are buying it. So what can I do? I can find intense negatives that are bigger than their intense positives, so you'll stay away from them. Like it's not about truth anymore. It's just about hurling garbage back and forth. The vaccine lies, governments getting COVID is horrible, and there's permanent damage, and they keep driving that home and driving that home and driving that home. When, and we'll look at the data on it, it's actually relatively small in the percentage of things. But people on the other side are like, well, no, there's these nefarious elements in there. There's these microchips that are in there, and there's this graphene oxide nanotech that's in there, and the mRNA stuff alters your DNA, and it's there to create this twisted human kind of thing. And you can feel when you listen to any of these points of view, they're like, oh, what is that? Whether they're coming from the government side or whether they're coming from the anti-vax side. And I think the thing that I want to point out is the zone of truth is somewhere in the middle of all that crap. If you think about all this stuff here is the noise and the lies. And so you've got the noise and the lies on the government side, and you've got the noise and the lies on the anti-vax side, and the zone of truth is somewhere in the middle. So what this stuff is all designed to be magnetic, to snag you and draw you in and get stuck in a viewpoint. And so, and we'll come back to it. So it's kind of like this. It's each viewpoint, and you can have this viewpoint of the virus is dangerous. Okay, and by now most people are like, well, yeah, that's true, but is it true? Or is that just a viewpoint? I'm not saying there isn't a virus. The question is, how dangerous is it? And is it dangerous to everybody? Like that could be a statistics thing, but do we have those statistics? I would argue no, but it's like if you buy the point of view that a virus is dangerous, you've taken a polarized, magnetized, charged point of view, and it's stronger than your subtle awareness. It radiates noise and garbage and magnetic, and it wants to stick to other points of view. So there's a real conspiracy out there. The government is trying to take you down. Like, how big is that conspiracy? You start digging, like, how deep does this rabbit hole go? And that sticks to the virus is dangerous. And then, well, the vaccine, well, that's dangerous too. And that sticks to that. And before you know it, you get a wall of these magnetized beliefs that are all stuck together. And your small, quiet truth, your small inner knowing, is somewhere behind this wall of all these beliefs. And you're sitting there going, wow, your head is swimming and you just can't make sense of any of it. And you kind of keep tripping into fear and you don't know what's true and you can't make sense of any of this. Am I the only one who's experienced that, or is that kind of what y'all have been?
Oh yeah, bang
Yep.
on that.
I have to.
Yep.
So the point that I want to make about this is that this isn't you. The problem isn't you. The problem is that there are all these polarized beliefs. And once you grab one and say, yes, this is true, the virus is dangerous, and you haven't fully checked that to see, is that relevant to you? Like compared that to your awareness and seen, like, you haven't found your truth about it. You've accepted their truth, whoever they is. You've accepted somebody else's truth about it. Then you've kind of abdicated your truth. You've set aside your truth in favor of holding on to this point of view. You've said, I don't really know what's true, so I'm just going to hold that. I'm going to ignore my truth and I'm going to borrow somebody else's truth. The virus is dangerous. Yeah, okay, I think there's enough evidence for that. I'll hold on to that. Now that's noisy and that's magnetic, and other things are going to try to stick to that, and more stick to that, and more stick to that, and more stick to that. So I would argue the problem, the core problem, is holding on to a charged viewpoint. And that's a viewpoint where you really can't look. So if it's not charged, you're like, well, it might be dangerous, it might not be dangerous. The truth is not simple. It's not black and white. It's not polarized. There are some things that are dangerous? Sure. Are those same things not dangerous to other people? Sure. Is a chainsaw dangerous? Depends on who the operator is. So it's like, is something dangerous? Depends on you, your lifestyle, how healthy you are, what your points of view are, how clean you keep your reality, how clean you keep your energetic space, how healthy you keep your body. It's like all of that stuff, nobody can tell you what your truth is. You have to find your own truth. But if you hold on to just one point of view, it's magnetic and it's going to cause other points of view to be more stuck to it. And before you know it, you're like, oh, I'm stuck in this. This is what you're stuck in. It's just the points of view, and they're designed to be that way. That's the core thing that I want to say, is this is not about truth. If it was about, when you hear information that's truthful, it's not magnetized. And I'll show you what that looks like. When you find truth that has an agenda behind it, it's trying to take you somewhere. They're trying to control you to buy a product, to take an action, to not take an action. You can feel that agenda in there. I want to show you how you spot that agenda. And I want to suggest that any message that has an agenda, you either completely ignore the message or strip the agenda out and skim it, realizing this article, this news program, this whatever is trying to control me. How is it trying to do that? Where is it trying to take me? And once you know that, once you know their bias, you can engage that content and you're less snagged, but you're aware. And then you can, when you finish it, you can go, okay, I get it. And you can clear and you can get rid of all these magnetized bricks so that you don't have the charge that they're trying to install in your system. The belief isn't even the core thing. It's the charge that's associated with the belief. When you don't care one way or the other, it's like, there could be a conspiracy, maybe there's not a conspiracy, whatever, I don't care. Like, I don't have a point of view on it. Then there's no charge on it. The vaccination could be dangerous. Maybe it's not. Whatever, I don't care. Like, it just doesn't matter. that's when you're clear. When it's like, whatever, I don't care. Like, you're not in resistance to it. You're not aligning and agreeing with it. You're just neutral about it. It's like, could be either way. That's where you're seeking to be, my interesting point of view. That's how you get out of the stuff. So let's dive in and do some clearing on it. So here are some of the ones that I've noticed on the pro side, like the yay vaccine side. It's usually the government side. Vaccines are completely safe. Getting COVID is horrible, like, and it could cause permanent damage, and it could kill you, and it's just, oh, it's this horrible thing. Everyone needs to get vaccinated, or the virus won't end. Like, if you don't get vaccinated, this will go on forever, and it's your fault. There's blame associated with it. Everyone needs to get vaccinated. If you don't, you create risk for other people. Like, you not being vaccinated is going to risk all the vaccinated people from, they might get it from you, and that's not fair. It's like, well, wait a minute, aren't they vaccinated? Okay, whatever. Government has the right to force people for health and safety of the population. Like, is that true? Well, that's what they believe. And without vaccine, you may suffer and die. Like, that's the pro-vaccine side. Anybody else have anything else? What's on the pro side? And some of them aren't vocalized. It's like the subtext. It's what they're saying below all the words that they're using. Anybody else? What are lies on the pro-vaccine side?
Well, there's some people that can't get it, shouldn't get it, aren't old enough to get it. And if you don't get it, you then put the people that don't have the option to say yes or no at risk.
Wow, that got really extrapolated. Yeah. So you put others at risk.
Yeah, like the children, the people with cancer, the immunocompromised, the
Yep. Cool. What else?
The number of people that probably shouldn't have got it has shrunk dramatically when you look at the CDC website. So where before it would say, don't have it if you've had previous, vaccine reactions and that kind of thing, that's all disappeared. Anywhere you've had previous allergies, that's all disappeared.
Yep.
And where the children weren't being included, now certainly in the US, the under 12s are. And, it's not necessarily in their best interest. It's all couched under, it's better for everybody else if they are.
Yeah. And some of that is also they've gotten more data over time. And some of it is they've just gotten more desperate over time.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you realize they're lying and that it's not about the truth, then you can see it differently. It's like you're expecting them to give you truth. No, expect them to control the population. That's what they think their job is. And that's the job that's the role they're playing, even if it's not true. Like, that's what people put them in charge of, or some people put them in charge of. And so that's what they think they're supposed to be doing. And it's the power game in there too, but there are lies, and that's normal. But is everything they say a lie? No, not necessarily. And anybody else? Other pro-vaccine viewpoints?
There's a message that I view that I read often on Facebook, and it's that, well, if you don't get vaccinated, you're so selfish, because if you would care for the others, you would get vaccinated. It goes with the it like you put others at risk, but then it's like, shame on you because you don't care about the others.
Yep. Shaming. There's a lot of that. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Cool. Anybody else? So let's jump over to the other side.
Well, I would say too, though,
yeah.
on the vaccine, there's the whole viewpoint of there really isn't even a COVID. Like I hear that too, that, you know, there's no
Mhm.
need to do it because it's all COVID is a lie.
And in the
There's no good
beginning,
reason.
it's kind of like over time awareness gives you more information. I would say a year and a half ago, you know, a couple months after this originally started, I seriously questioned that myself. It's like, is this a thing or is this something they're making up? The more you sit with it, the more you start to look around, and it's like, well, is everything that's occurring, could all that be made up, and could it all hold together for that long? Probably not. But absolutely, it's one of those, that was kind of the, on the anti-vax side, it's like, this is all made up, like none of this is real. Most part, people have kind of dropped that, going, yeah, okay, maybe it's real, but we're not sure what it is. Yeah. Anyone else on the anti-vax side?
Can we do clearing or something? I feel like I'm getting squeezed.
Yeah, I'm deliberately squeezing. I want to kick up a lot of stuff and then we'll start clearing. Yeah. So hold on. I'm going to pile more stuff before we're done. Yeah, soon.
I feel
So
like there was something around like 5G or something on the
yes.
anti-vax stuff.
Yes.
Something about frequency alteration based off of the vaccine.
Yep. That's one of those things out there. Cool. Anybody else?
Like if you get vaccinated, you're like a little sheep that follows the government authority. You know, there's like this kind of, you know, getting rid of the government authority, and if you really want to be free, then you don't get any vaccine.
Yep. So it's I'll call it anti-government ideology.
Conspiracy. Yeah.
So it's almost, it's not about whether it's real or not real. It's like the government's saying you should do that, so you should do the opposite.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's actually just, it's a very crude reaction to polarity. It's like, well, whatever they say, I'm going to do the opposite of that. And in some cases it's useful, but yeah, in this case it's kind of crude. Yeah, cool.
And to even ask questions, you're being painted as A, an anti-vaxxer, which people who ask questions aren't necessarily, and B, as a conspiracist, which is now a dirty word, just because you want to ask the questions.
Yep. So it's like the pro side shames anyone on this side, and they've gotten better at finding ways of shaming and more subtle ways, but you feel all that crap. It's like, oh, yuck. Yeah. So that another one that's in there is the whole ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, like that these are proven, like these are better than, and they don't have any side effects. And so it's like, these are, I'm going to mute somebody here. I'm not sure. No, I'm just going to keep muting people until it, no, let's try this one. No, it's okay. I muted the snoring person, so you may have to unmute yourself. We put somebody out already. Yeah. So it's like the ivermectin, hydrochloroquine. It's like you just take those, and this is a conspiracy. Like they know this works, and they have tons of evidence, but they're ignoring it. And yeah, it's like I bought into that one for a while, and then you dig into the data of it, it's like, it's not as, it's more of the same thing of the people on this side are over exaggerating to counterbalance all the over exaggerating that's occurring on the government side. It's like it's obvious to people that here's the truth and the government is over exaggerating over to here. So they're like, well, this is the fair play zone. So it's like, we're going to be polar opposite of that. And here's the truth. We're going to over exaggerate over to here. And because the government's working at it really hard and we can go a little further, we'll even go a little further than the government, right? Like, it really becomes a game. It's not about truth. It's about how can we find any point of view that it's going to substantiate our truth, our polarized, our opposite truth, because they're playing dirty, so we need to play dirty too. Like, it's not about truth anymore. This is war. If you start to look at it, it's like, oh wow, yeah, it's just, it actually starts to make more sense that way. And we can look at any of these. I've researched all of these, so I can even go into the details of that if you want, but I don't want to get too minutia about it. But if we need to, we can. That it creates infertility in women. This is a newer one. Like, you won't be able to have babies after that. That's a great way to get women to say no, isn't it? At least younger women. I thought that was kind of brilliant as a way of messing with people. And that the vaccine is more dangerous than COVID. Anyone else have anything to add to that?
I think, I don't know about the vaccine being more dangerous than COVID, but the one that I find really pummels me is the fear that if you give into taking the vaccine, you're giving into losing even more freedom than we already feel like we've lost.
Mm-hmm.
And you're allowing yourself to be controlled, and completely losing your freedom.
Yep.
And that if we don't stand up and we don't take a stand, then it means you're just agreeing. And what are we really agreeing to? We already realize how much we are controlled in society. And I think
Mm-hmm.
this lockdown has shown us that. So how much more are we going to lose? And are
Right.
we even free?
Right. And this is a tricky one, because it kind of, but if you look at it just from is this magnetized, polarized, or is this just a simple truth? And it's polarized, like it's sticky, like you need to stand up and you need to confront the government, or you're going to lose your freedom. Sometime down the road, you're going to find, once everything's locked down and you can't do anything more, you're going to wish you had done something 5 years back. And now's your time to do that. And again, it's anti-government ideology. And I'm not saying, how do I want to couch this? If you enjoy struggling with governments and protests and stuff like that, and there are people who thoroughly enjoy that, and I'm not putting that down, and I'm not saying that shouldn't be taking place, because on some level it needs to take place. My question is it your job to do those things? And feel that. Is it your job to go out and protest? Is it your job to go out and engage polarity and stir up polarity to get more people to engage polarity, to get deeper into this war with government around control? Is that your job, or is your job more around holding on to what is true for you and holding on to your awareness? And do you make a better impact by getting out in the streets and getting into polarity and struggling with the government? Or do you make a better impact or bigger impact by being clear and radiating awareness and inviting others around you into becoming more aware? And I'm not telling you which side of those, or that those are even polarized. You could choose both of those. Like you could get into the polarity of it and then clear and be out of the polarity of it again. Like you can be skilled enough to do that. But my question and all of that is it your job to go protest, or is it okay to leave that to some other people who that's their thing? They like that. Does that make sense? Anybody else?
It's sort of indirectly related to what I just said, but I'm just bringing it up because it popped in. It's sort of like you said, 5 years down the line, if you didn't stand up for it, what else are we losing? And it's the whole, what's been coming up a lot with the whole conspiracy theory side and the anti-vaxxer side is the fact that this is just a stepping stone for the 1% to control the finances of the population. And they're trying to move us towards e-currencies that we're losing even more freedom, because they're going to control everything we spend and everything we buy. So that's another one I find comes up a lot.
Yeah. And again, it's back to the government ideology component of it. Yeah. So it's like, where do I go with the bigger part of that? It's like if you look at a bigger space, you can get into the minutia of all this, and we're going to declare, but it's like, if you look at the bigger picture, what if there's this evolution of consciousness, this evolution of awareness, and even an evolution in the way in which governments and people interacted with each other? Like there's a larger story that's at play here that's not about the minutia of it, or the fear-based, we're going to lose all freedom, we're going to lose all control, and the government's going to become tyrannical. And it's like, what if there's a culture, there's a planetary awakening occurring around the way governments, people, and information interact with each other? Like it used to be governments controlled information, and the hierarchy controlled information. The internet represents a decentralization of information, and now a decentralization of passage of information and ideas. And governments that were based in information are now losing control because that information is freely available. Like I would argue there's a bigger evolution occurring here. And this is just the linchpin that's nudging this whole thing. Again, if you look at that point of view, it's like we're all going to be going into the 1984 situation, losing freedom, lost control. It's going to be worse than China, blah, 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 blah. It's like polarly speaking, that's way over on the side. And that's just a big red flag. Anytime you get anything that's way over on one side, recognize it's part of a game to counteract the polarity that's way over on this side. And the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. So let's start doing some clearing on this stuff. So I want to re-anchor why. All the points of view are magnetic. They demand that you choose this side or that side, the north side or the south side. Like you have to pick one side. If you hold on to any one point of view, it's magnetized and it's going to attract others. And before you know it, you get this. So I'll engage points of view, but then I'll clear all the charge from them. And I'm not, if you're in the point of view, you know you're magnetized when you're like, I'll go back up to here. It's like, no, this is just to kill somebody. To the degree that you are not willing to let go of that point of view, you're trapped in that point of view, and you're going to keep attracting more bricks that are going to support that. And you've seen the hardcore cases probably online where people are just way off the fucking deep end on both sides. Right? And it's just you take in too many, you ingest too many of these beliefs that are charged to the degree that you hold on to them and say, yes, this is true. I'm not going to fucking let go of this one because I know this is true. You're just playing in the polarity of it. That's it. It's not true. And it's not true. You're in the polarity. You don't know what's true, and you can't know what's true from that point. So what I suggest is you look for, what are the points of view that you have that you just know are true? And I'm not letting go of this because I know this is true, and you feel the polarity on it. When you clear all of those points of view and all that noise and all that chaos, what you're left with is just a simple, quiet truth, your truth. That's what you get by clearing the polarities. You get the quiet knowing of what works for you. What works for other people, that's their story. Some people vaccine may work for, some people vaccine won't work for, and that's perfectly legitimate and that's perfectly fine. But what's my truth? All I'm interested in is you finding your truth. I don't care what your truth is. I just want you to find your truth. And the only way I know to do that is to let go of the magnetized, polarized truths. To the degree you hold on to even one, another one comes and sticks to it, and another one comes and sticks to it, and another one comes and sticks to it. And you can't see what's true for you anymore. You can always go back and get them again, but I want to invite you to let go of them now. So let yourself, what are all the points of view that you have around vaccines? What are all the vaccine lies that you have? No, I'm just saying, what are all the points of view that you have around the vaccine and around COVID? And just feel that information come up. And can we push all that in the pile way out front?
Yes, I choose
Yes, I
that.
choose
Everybody's
that.
on mute. Yeah. And way out front in the pile. And you want far enough out front that you feel your body relax. A little further out and encapsulate so it can't run away. And what are some other, let's go back into it. What are some of the points of view that you can feel magnetized in there?
I perceive this pride that it's attached. Doesn't matter if you are pro-vaccine or vaccine or anti-vax, is this pride. Oh, I made the smart choice. Is everyone else is stupid? That doesn't agree with my point of view.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Cool. And all that in the pile?
That we don't really know how well it works and whether you.
I think we lost your signal. That we don't know how well it
The
works,
effects.
and we don't
Yeah.
know the effects. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
is it going to hurt your body in the future? You know,
Yeah. It's
long-term
like, would this hurt me if I took this? And
Yeah.
again, so the point of view is that it could hurt me if I took this.
yeah, maybe
Right?
not now, but
Right.
later.
It could be later. Yeah. And all that in the pile. Way up front. And I've heard extreme viewpoints of everyone who got the shot will die. That's just a given, except for some people who may have gotten a saline shot instead. But it's like they will die. If you get 2 shots, it doubles your odds, or it'll happen quicker. If you get the booster, it happens even quicker. And I'm like, whoa, wow. Way, like, again, look at the extremeness of that and all that in the pile. What else? What are anybody else? What point of view?
Just feel a lot of
had-
judgment. It doesn't matter what side you're on. There's just so much judgment.
Right. And that's part of the the shaming thing. It's like,
Yeah, it feels
you're
like
making the
wrongness
wrong
again.
choice and
Yeah.
you're going to kill everybody because you're doing that. Oh, it gets dark and nasty. Yeah. All that in the pile.
Yeah.
All that in the pile.
And then after you make your choice, did I make the wrong choice? Am I
Yeah.
wrong? It's the wrongness again.
Yep. 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 And all that in the pile.
And
In-
tangled with the wrongness is all of the fear, you know, again, right or wrong. I'm afraid that I've made the wrong decision, and no matter what decision you've made, you're afraid that of what may happen. It's just wrong, or, you know, fear, a lot of fear.
Mm-hmm. Yep. 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 What if you get it wrong? What if you get it wrong? Way out front. Yep. In the pile. And what is all the fear that's up or active, or all the fear that's installed, all the dormant or hidden fear? And everything below and intertangle with that, and below and intertangle with that, and below and intertangle with that, and all the I don't know, I'm not sure, I can't tell, and everything below and intertangle with that, and below and intertangle with that, and below and intertangle with that, and it's usually down around genital area or lower. And just grab all of those implants and put all that stuff in the pile. All the dormant or hidden fear, or I don't know, I'm not sure, I can't tell, all in the pile. Way out front, way out front. Friend. Encapsulate. Wow. Wow. And I would say most people are probably on this polarity here, because the government plays it's pretty obvious. They think they're really slick. They honestly do. They think they're like, I don't get why people don't like totally buy in. They really don't see it. They're not aware of how aware people are and how aware people are becoming. And to me, it's one of the gifts of COVID is it's generating this intense awareness that allows people to see, oh, the government may not have the truth here, and the government may not be telling the truth, and they may have ulterior motives and blah, 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 blah. And so what people do is they extrapolate it onto the other side. So it is causing awareness, which is step one. You need to become aware, and then you get tangled, and then you clear it all, and then you're like, then you can see your truth. That's kind of the awareness process. Where's everywhere that the vaccination is going to kill you, it's going to harm you, it's going to in some way damage your body, reproductive system, it's going to install nefarious elements, microchips, graft poisons, things to alter your DNA, things to mess with your body, things to mess with you. Everything that's upperactive, can we put that in the pile?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. And way out front. Further out, that's a big pile. And that there are perfectly other safe things out there. Ivermectin, hydrochloroquine, there are other ones. Those are the main ones that people talk about. That there are all these perfectly safe things out there, and they're not using those, and they're actually just trying to kill us. They just want to, they don't care, blah, 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 whatever that is. There's other things out there, put that in the pile. Any beliefs around that? All in the pile. Any other charges? Well, let me grab the other side too. The getting COVID is horrible. It causes all this permanent damage with your lungs, and it could damage your heart, and could do brain clots or blood clots, and it could do all this just horrible stuff to a human body. All the stuff you've taken in around that, all in the pile, way out front. And that you need to get a vaccine. And if you don't, you're killing other people, you're hurting other people, you're being selfish, you should be ashamed of yourself, you're putting other people at risk, all just by you making the wrong choice. You're making the wrong choice. All that in the pile, way up front.
I think there's some cases that are going on now related to custody, where one parent doesn't want their kids to get the vaccine and the other parent does, and the parent that doesn't want them to get it, the judges are taking rights away.
All that stuff is going to come up. Yep. People are going
It
to
already
play in it.
has. Yeah, it already has. Yeah,
Yep.
it already has.
Yep. Yep. So where's ever that you could lose your rights? That's one here. That the government could force vaccinations, lose your rights. So where's everywhere that you could be forced to take the vaccine, which will ultimately kill you, of course. So, so it's a life or death situation here. You feel the polarities of those two? You could be forced to take it and it's going to kill you. Therefore, the government is going to kill you. It's this, and it's just those two bricks snapped together. They don't make sense when you think about it, although your brain can kind of connect dots, but it's like, it's just the magnetic thing of those bricks together. So you could be forced, you could lose your rights, all in the pile, way up front.
What about just that you're gonna die? If you take it, you're gonna die. If you don't take
Don't
it,
take it, you're gonna die. You're gonna die.
You're gonna
Yeah,
get COVID.
you're screwed
and
any way you
around
look at it.
dying.
Yep,
You're
any way you
gonna
look
die.
at it, you're screwed. You're gonna die. And I'll give you a secret. You are gonna die someday. But don't tell anybody, okay? That's just our little secret there. And all that in the pile way up front. Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, like no matter when you get into the polarities aren't rational. It's not about truth. None of this is about truth. That's the lie. It's not about truth. This is information war. It's about control. The magnetic polarity stuff is all about control. It's not about truth. Yeah. So you're going to die either way, on the pile. What else?
It's a never-ending thing. There will be booster shots and booster shots and booster shots.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And this will keep going and it'll keep going. And who is it? Warren Buffett made a comment recently, and was it Fauci made a comment about, well, this is just this virus. There are even worse ones that could hit us in the near future. It's like, oh, you assholes. All that stuff in the pile, way up front, in the pile, way up front.
How about all of this is the new normal, the new normal.
The new
Everything
normal.
about
Yep.
normal.
Like this is the way it's going to be. And if you look at the bigger picture of it, I would argue this is not about a vaccine. It's not about a virus. It's more about information and control. And if you can, and when you look at that, it's easier to step back and go, that's really interesting. It's like, this is the battleground. The battleground is called COVID and called vaccination, but that's not really what it's about. That's almost a surface story. Is it there? Yeah, but it's what they're using as the linchpin to anchor on. Like, this is the thing. And this is where we're going to stand our ground. And this is where the fight is. And if you can depolarize yourself, all that in the pile, all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay. So do I want to play that game? No. Would I just rather be aware and just kind of watch them play the game? Oh yeah. How can I be amused by watching them? And it's kind of when I skim the news, like there's just the amusement of, it's like, oh yeah, they're talking about this, and oh yeah, they're talking about that. And like, it's almost amusing now to watch it. Once you see what's really going on and you're not sucked into it, it's kind of amusing because you can watch them play their game and they think nobody sees them doing it. That's the cute part. They think nobody recognizes it. What else? What other polarities do you feel about this whole topic?
You're talking about control, Jaden, and it's no charge whatsoever for me about being controlled.
Oh.
Or finding a way for me to be controlled by someone else or government, or that's no point. Being controlled.
So I'm not exactly understanding what you're saying. That it's not an issue for you being controlled?
It is. I have so much charge when you talk about
I see what you're saying. Got it. Okay, so it's around control. Okay, so it's like the governments are going to control you. They're going to take over. They're going to mandate all these things. The people will be powerless to take any action. You'll be forced to do this, or it'll turn into like civil war or this internal thing. All that stuff in the pile.
Yes, please.
Everything
I
down
choose
below.
that.
And down below. And actually, there's another component that's in here is, and this is where sometimes people think that it's weird that I use the word war, but warfare has shifted. There's an evolution in warfare that's also going on the planet. Warfare used to be kinetic. It used to be, we're going to take our bombs and drop them on you, and the bigger bombs win, or the ones that is the most bombs win. And like it used to be the most people you can kill wins. Then it was the bigger bombs win, and assured mutual destruction would prevent people from like even using those bigger bombs. And it's like, what happened? Well, they've shifted into cyber attacks. It's this information attacks. It's like the Russians are manipulating the election, and all that stuff is going on. Like, that's not just a conspiracy theory. They're doing that, and like, why not? Like the whole Black Lives Matter thing, that was whipped up. That was part of an information warfare that was going on, and you could watch it go on. You're like, this is weird. What is this? Where's this coming from? Like this whole race thing. Like, where is this coming from? That's part of an information warfare thing. Warfare has moved into a information space rather than a kinetic, we're going to go bang, bang with other people. They're not opposed to bang, bang, but they're finding it's cleaner. Like, you could take down a country just by messing with its people. You get them fighting each other and they just attack each other. And then the whole country becomes out of balance and loses its potency. And you didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to fire a shot at all. You just played with information. That's the level. That's why I'm saying information warfare. Like, that's involved. So everywhere that any of this stuff, all that in the pile. Okay. And what else?
I think they also, so you use the term, sorry, I was looking to make sure I wasn't on, I'm still on mute talking to myself. You use the term warfare, and I think it's interesting when you look at even how they use the same terms for something else, so that when the terms come up, you're not as like shaken about them. So it's like the war on COVID, we're getting it under control. You know, warfare and the war on this virus, and the war on all viruses, and it's the same words.
Yep.
Maybe so we don't have the same charge when we hear it. It doesn't sound as alarming.
Yeah. And they're also trying to ride on any previous successes. It's like any previous things. Yeah, the war on whatever, or it's like they'll take any topic that they think they can use to their advantage to kind of sway people, and they'll use it. And yeah, all that in the pile. And you can even see them, okay, we have to tell the people, we have to come clean after lying to people. How do we slowly and subtly put the truth in there because we realized we had it wrong? How do we insert the truth in there slowly in a way that doesn't make us look like we didn't know what we were doing before? Like, oh, they'll play that game. Yeah. So what are all the manipulations that you see governments make to information, all the propaganda that causes you to automatically resist all of that and say all of it is a lie? Everything the government says is a lie. Notice that's an extreme polarity, all that in the pile. Way up front, further out, and encapsulate. Wow. What else?
You know, it's the simple thing, when it all first started, the recurring, and I think it's entangled, maybe it's different or it's the same, with that if you don't do this or you don't do that, we're never going to get out of lockdown. We're never
Mhm.
going to stop wearing masks. The economy is never going to pick up because everybody's going to be losing jobs. It's all of this is your fault.
Right.
And we're never going to get rid of this if you don't do X.
Right.
And
Right.
you're in that fear because you don't know what,
Yep. And so where's
you don't
ever
want
that
to be
we've accepted all those judgments is that this is your fault, that you're to blame, all that in the pile. And blame and shame are also implanted emotions. So allow yourself to perceive all the blame or shame, regret, guilt, energies that you have that are up and active in your system. Where's ever you feel guilty about wearing a mask, about not wearing a mask, about not doing what you're told, about not having gotten a shot, about not having done whatever you were supposed to do. What is all the guilt, blame, shame, regret, and allow yourself to perceive all the looping emotion projectors down below and intertangle and entwine with that, and blow and intertangle and entwine with that, and blow and intertangle and entwine with that. Wow. And including all the dormant or hidden ones, and just all those in the pile, all those in the pile, all those in the pile. Woo. Further out, till you can feel your body relax. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, there you go. Further out. Cool. What else?
I think the oversimplification, early on, it was like, well, if you would just stay home, we would be done. Like, it's just so simple. If people just wash your hands and stay home,
Yep.
it'll be gone in, 6 weeks.
And how has that snagged you?
Because you can't just stay home. At some point you need food. At some point you need whatever. Like you have to be.
Yeah. So what are all the viewpoints that we have that it's just about staying home, and staying home is the only way to be safe, and staying home is what you should be doing and what's required of you? Oh, whoa. And all that in the pile way out front. Oh, further out. Wow. The required of you, that tripped a trigger there. Encapsulate. Yeah. What else?
There's like this speech about science, where the government always says, well, the decision that I'm making is based on science, so it's the truth. And then you have like the anti-vaccine saying, no, the science says that, so that's the truth. So there's this warfare based on science, and science equals the truth,
Yeah.
So on which side of the science are you?
Yeah. And it's funny, even within science itself, there's a division. The more they look at the depth of the research projects and the way they've been done and the way the whole setup is, and it's actually another whole other fascinating thing. If, for instance, it started with like Marlboro and big tobacco, they found, oh man, we've got evidence that smoking generates cancer. It's like, damn it, what do we do? How do we, that information is out there, or we know about it, or it's coming, what do we do? So they started to hire researchers to generate research that clouded the field of information, and they would start going, well, actually, it's not that causes cancer, it's these foods that are causing cancer. And it's not actually the nicotine that's doing this, it's this other thing that's doing this. And they would hire, the tobacco company would hire other companies to generate noise, to generate research that would convolute the whole space. Monsanto then played the same thing. It's like they had evidence that their product does cause cancer, and it is toxic and it is dangerous. And what do? How do you hide that? Well, you generate enough research that proves the opposite, or that it's not about that, that you chase it. It's a different trail. It's something else about the farming. It's about the way you're using this other product, or it's not about our product. It's about some, they just generate all this noise. And then when you try to find what's true, there's so much garbage research that finding the actual truth becomes very hard. And when the tobacco industry did it and got away with what they did for decades before anybody said, whoa, wait a minute, it's just so fucking obvious. No, this causes cancer and we're just going to do that. Like it's generating confusion, using science to generate confusion. And it's the statistics thing. You can take any research and play with the statistics in some way to prove this side or this side using the exact same data, just the way you tweak it. And that's the game that's being played. And so science is also undergoing this internal warfare and thing about control. There's a question recently, articles, they're looking at, well, if you look at research from this higher level, it could be possible that about 70% of the accepted research is actually bogus. Kind of let that sink in. 70% could be bogus. Maybe not, but it could be. And it's because of the way that funding occurs in research. Like, who pays for that research and why are they paying for that research? And that's not always looked at or seen or honest. So where's ever that what is everything that's upper active where you're confused about even the research, like what is true? And where's ever you think that that's you, there's something wrong with you, there's something about you is not right, that you can't do this. And what if it's not about you? What if it's about, this is the part of the information warfare that's going on? All that in the pile, all that in the pile, way up front, way up front, way up front. Wow. 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 So where's ever you're using research against yourself, where's ever using research to make you wrong, whoa, and all that in the pile, way up front, and let all that go. Just intend to let all those energies go. Encapsulate. Ooh, whoa, what else?
What about all of the ways just getting into tangles with this? We're opening up ourselves to allowing ourselves to be just energy harvested. You know, it's just a fancy way of getting our energy siphoned because it's just so draining. And for those people who are
so that's what polarity does.
Yeah.
So this is the point that this is like the key point. Polarity is draining. Like having these bricks, like when your life looks like this and it's just all these beliefs and they're just all wrestling and struggling with each other and they're all locked together, that is draining. Having one of those beliefs has a little bit of drain because you would lean towards you being you, but then it just kind of pulls you a little bit over. It's like, yeah, but no, what if I'm wrong? What if this is really as dangerous as they say it is? And like, what if, and then fear gets involved and then other bricks start to attach to that. And then it cascades. And that's what drains your power. Holding any belief is going to draw another belief and another one, and slowly that drains your power and you can't access awareness anymore. So what are all the energies that you're holding on to? What are all the beliefs that you're holding on to that are draining your energy in any way? And let's put all those in the pile. And I want grab what is everything from down below and the beliefs from down below that, the beliefs below that, below that, below that. Wow. Wow. And all the way below that. And can we put all that stuff in the pile?
Yes, I do.
Yeah,
I choose that.
choose that. And all the beliefs and viewpoints from back behind, stored behind you in the pile. And anything remaining from back behind. And anything from up above and above that, above that, above that. And from above that, above that. Anything in the future, way out front. Anything from the left side. Anything from the right side. Whew. Oh, wow. Anything from up above and above that, above that, above that. And above that, above that. And still more on the right. Anything from inside body, from head to toe, on the pile, way up front. And anything stored in the planet. And all that in the pile and encapsulate. And can we shrink all that down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah. And notice if there's a no in your system, if there's a little voice, it's like, well, no, I can't, or no, I'm not allowed to, or no, I'm not, whatever. And how much is that a local point of view? How much is that a foreign or distant point of view?
Foreign or distant.
Yeah.
Distant.
Yeah. So
I think
anytime
I
it's
get local.
okay. And is that your local point of view that you get local, or is that a foreign or distant point of view that you get local?
Foreign or distant.
Yeah. So anything that's foreign or distant, we auto destroy. So shrink, or we auto ignore. Yeah. So let's shrink down to less than nothing. Because what is interference at a distance, inserting its point of view, trying to get you to not delete what they spent decades setting up and installing and putting all this charge on. And anything remaining, encapsulate, can we shrink all that down to less than nothing? Yeah.
Yes, I
Yes,
choose
I
that.
choose that. And
I choose that.
small. Ooh, less than nothing, less than nothing, less than nothing, less than nothing. Hyper shrink, hyper shrink, hyper shrink. And body. So tell your body and planet, let all that go. Not you, not yours, not you, not yours. Never was yours, never was yours. And body and planet, let this go now. Let it all go. Don't sort through it. Sometimes body or planet will be like, how about this one? Did you want this one too? Yes, that one. How about this one? This might be a good one. No. Delete that. How about this one? No, all of it in the pile. just try and create it. Don't sort through it. Just let it all go. Not you, not yours. Not you, not yours. Not you, not yours. Well, and we'll stir up some more stuff. So we'll have more stuff to clear. But I want to move into like, how do you make sense of this? How do you find what's true? And the first part is, again, both sides push lies, and you can feel it. This is where you as an aware being have a huge head start. Is I'll look at an article, somebody will send me an article. Oh, well, how about this? And I get that stuff all the time. It's like, and I'll open the article and I'll be like, oh, I just feel the energy of it. It's like, oh, okay. I don't even have to read it. I just close the article. Like, I know what the content of that is just by getting near the energy of it. Anybody else experience that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, even
Yeah.
you'll
Yes.
listen to somebody talk, reporter, if you still watch news, or like somebody on YouTube, like you can feel it. The tricky ones come where they start out as like really kind of sane and normal, and then they slowly walk you into the weirdness, one thing at a time and one thing at a time. And by the end of the program, you're like, oh, I'm all twisted and gnarly. I like the guy, but I'm all twisted and gnarly and I don't understand why. It's like, wait a minute, what are all the viewpoints that I've taken in? Oh yeah, all those in the pile. So if you realize that it's just, that's the thing out there. Everybody's pushing their viewpoint. And I'm not saying that they're all lies, but there's typically lie mixed in with truth. And they package them together and say the whole thing is true because this piece is true. When we package this lie with it, the whole thing is still true because it has truth in it. That's kind of the game they play. So here's my, I think these are my 7 suggestions for finding your truth. 1, don't accept any information as true without checking it, no matter what the source is. I don't care if that comes from Jaden. I don't care if that comes from God herself, whomever, especially not if it comes from God, probably, but like whoever that don't trust anyone's sources. Don't trust anyone except your awareness. Do you see the change? The old game is, well, you can trust the mainstream news, or you can trust Dan Rather, or you can trust what CNN says, or you can trust, you can't trust that at all. But like the old paradigm was, there are things you can trust. You can trust the Washington Post. It knows, and it will always tell you the truth. Matter of fact, that may even be a tagline they had, something in there. But it's like, that's the old game. And all that is now corrupted. I want to flip that around and say, you can't trust anyone. No, not can't. You should not trust anyone or anything outside of you, no matter who that is, including me. You want to, everyone, I have errors, I have biases, and I aim to not have overt manipulations, but who knows? I could be sneaking some in there when you're not looking. And you'll never know because you're trusting me. And I will rule the world. Maybe not. Sounds like a lot of work. But my suggestion, I don't trust anyone's point of view. I check what my point of view is, even if it's true for them, and it may be true for them, but it doesn't make it true for everyone. Some substances will kill some bodies. Others, that same substance will enhance other bodies. And it's one of the weird things that doctors and scientists deal with all the time. There is no black and white. There is no one truth when it comes to humans. It doesn't work that way. We're so diverse that some things hurt some people and some things benefit other people. So all you can do is find out what is your truth. And if you hold on to these polarities, you can't tell your truth. So what is everything in the way of you having access to and knowing your truth? Wow, wow, wow. And all that in the pile way out front. All in the pile way out front. All in the pile way out front. And further out and encapsulate. How does this sink in, or what's your reaction to don't trust anyone's truth? Just check it.
I think for me, it comes up that like I don't have time to check everything that everyone keeps sending me. So I don't even want to look at any of it. And I have a family member that will send me documentaries and articles, and it's like non-stop. Yeah. And they'll even say, I know that you didn't read that. I really want you to read that. You know, right. It's really important for you to read that. Right. And I don't want to fact check everything. Like I don't have time to get into all of that. So then it's almost well, then I don't want to look at it. Like I'm just going to scoot it over here. And that's not good either. Right. So can you see, so you're coming at it from this person is trying to be helpful, and here you are being rude and ignoring them. Right. How much is that person trying to be helpful? And how much is that person in a polarity and they're engaging information warfare and they're trying to get you to turn to their side? Absolutely. Absolutely. So basically, I mean, I've even said, I will have a conversation with you, but if you bring it up, I'm shutting you down. Yeah. And they'll say, but I just have one thing I want to say. And nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. But it'll be really quick. Yep. No. So that's information warfare. And you're basically saying, I refuse to get involved in this war. Right. And
what's wrong about that? Do you see how when you see it for what it is,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, well, no, I'm actually just not buying their stupid shit. Like, hello,
Right.
they're trying to manipulate me and I'm refusing that manipulation. But what makes you think it's wrong?
I don't think I think it's wrong. I think I just sort of have this fear of, by me saying, no, I'm not going to take anything that you say, that feels weird too. Like that feels like a tangle that, like,
Right.
la, 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 I'm not going to look at anything. It doesn't, putting
So
it in a box in the corner.
So if somebody's sending you noise and garbage, what viewpoint would you need to have about that person or about you or about this process that would make you wrong because you're refusing the garbage this person's sending you? Where do you how do you use that to make yourself wrong? I'm a
because
bad
it
person
feels like
because
somehow, no, it almost feels like a trap.
it is a trap.
Well, but not in the same way. I don't think that,
Okay, I'm
that you're
sorry.
looking at it. It's almost like I don't want to get involved in it. Like, I'm not
Right.
going there. I'm not going to talk about it. Just stop.
And
So
why
I
is
shut
that
it down.
wrong?
I don't feel that is wrong, but it almost feels like my saying I'm not going to go there, it tangles something with interference. Like I don't know.
Right.
I should probably stop talking.
No, okay. So I think I see what's going on is it's like, it's a polarity thing. It's like they're saying how do I say it? They're saying, here's this
It
point
puts
of
me
view,
all the way on the other side. Yeah.
and it puts you into polarity on the opposite side.
Yes, absolutely.
And
I've
so
got the same thing with another close friend, and on one hand, yes, she knows that I'm broadly anti-vax, but she's sending me junk that I'm not looking at. In fact, it's in my spam folder, not of my doing. Actually, what it brings up is guilt. It's just guilt.
Guilt
because it's a friend, because they're a friend and you're having to say no because they're stuck in that polarity.
So if they're a friend, you should be reading their emails. If they're a friend, you should be honoring their point of view. What is Yeah. And so all that in the pile. And so it's like, how can you engage them in a way that doesn't engage polarity for you? So when I get those things, what I'll do is I'll be like, oh, that triggers weird stuff for me. What are all my points of view? I just put those in the pile because I know my action is just to delete it, Like, no, I'm not even going to engage it. Like, I know better. I'm not even going to engage it. And anything that comes up around that, I just keep putting all that in the pile. And then how can so I get myself clear, and then what can I do with this person, with these emails, with this whatever, that I'm not in resistance to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that it's like, no, you need to stay away. No, it's more like, I just don't go there. Thank you. Or even respond, oh, thank you. This is very helpful.
Jaden, I think
I'm not opposed to doing that if that neutralizes polarity. Thank you. This is very helpful.
I think what happens as well is that even though you don't want to engage in the polarity, because you feel, there's enough on both sides that you're confused enough, you don't need more information. There's always that tiny voice whispering, well, suppose there is something important to it, suppose there is something true in it, and then you're not going to be informed, and then you're not going to make the right decision, and that whole cascade. So you feel this pressure that people are sending these things because they care about you,
right?
And you are just, putting a blanket over it and is covering it with a blanket or just refusing to look at it, is that actually interference stopping you from knowing something you should know? Or is, you know, you get into tangle, which
Yep.
one is actually
So
fair?
there's like six bricks in this. There's like
Yeah.
6 different polarities all lodged in this thing. You notice it kind of brings up this charge? And rather than calling them all out, can we just push the whole mass out in the pile?
Yes,
wouldn't
I
choose
choose
that.
that.
Yes,
Yeah, I choose it just way out front. Because it's like awareness just knows. Awareness, like your awareness just knows what's relevant for you. You can just feel, okay, here's this topic. I don't even have to open this. I can just feel the energy of it. It's like, oh, not useful. Okay, delete. And I can feel the energy of here. It's like, oh, there's something interesting here. Okay, this I might explore. There's may also be tangly stuff in there, but it's like, what if awareness is your knowing of what is already useful to you at a core, but interference will always drop in those things. No, this could be the information and you ignore this, and then this could be what kills you. Right here, this one email could have saved your life. All that in the pile. Your awareness is what saves your life. That's it. Your awareness tells you, you know, I don't think I want to go to the market today. Or, you know, I don't think I want to go to that party or that event today. And then you find out, oh yeah, something not good happened at that event or that party or that market. It's like, it's your awareness that keeps you safe. The polarities keep you out of your awareness. They keep you out of your knowing. So what is everything that blocks is more important than your awareness and more important than your knowing? And all that in the pile way up front. Yeah. So this will start digging a little bit deeper into stuff. Look for the agenda or biases in anything that you see. And I'm not saying to go to look at everything, but I'm saying if you are going to look at something, look at the bias, automatically assume there's going to be a bias, because most of the information out there, maybe in the stuff I've researched over the last week for doing this, there's very few providers of information that don't have a blunt, overt bias. Many of them do. And look for the agenda, and you'll see this one. I'm going to use this. It's a great example. 99% of Americans are dying from the coronavirus. 99% of the Americans dying from the coronavirus are unvaccinated. AP News. This is just recent, last week or two. And it's like right away, it's like when you feel that, what's your first gut to that energetically?
But it's a lie.
Yeah, something
Yes,
just is
it's-
like,
yeah.
no, something's not right here. What's the motive behind there? Well, there's a fear thing going on. People are dying of coronavirus because they were unvaccinated, and you could be next, right? Okay, so like you can see the bias right in the headline, but sometimes you can't tell. The headline can be more unbiased. Sometimes it's not as blunt. This is a blunt instrument. It's just really freaking obvious. You feel it, but you can skim the article. When I look at this, look at this paragraph. Nearly all COVID deaths in the US are now in people who weren't vaccinated. Does that feel light to you? Does that feel true?
No.
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 So they're stretching some things somewhere. A staggering demonstration of how effective the shots have been, an indication of the deaths per day, now down under 300, could be practically zero if everyone eligible got the vaccine. Does that feel true or light?
No.
No.
No, it's a really nice fantasy. It'd be nice if that was true. You can feel that. It would be nice if that was true, that if everybody got the shot, but you can already see there's so many factors in this that that can't be true. It's literally impossible. But any person who has the slightest clue of how viruses and this thing is working, it's just bullshit. This is from AP News. They're a major news source that other news sources quote. AP News puts out their stuff and people take AP News and they copy it. They might change some words, they do some fluff, and then they post it on their site. Main people use AP News. Here's one from CNBC. CDC study shows unvaccinated people are 20 times more likely to be hospitalized. Does that feel light?
No.
No.
We're not looking for the is it true even, or the statistically, it's like they're saying something and it's like, what's just your gut? Your gut is like, something doesn't feel really right there. What's the agenda? You can feel it in the headline. Again, they're pushing, if you're unvaccinated, and right now you go to any news media source that's biased, and they will have loads of articles about the one unvaccinated person and how they died because they were unvaccinated. They'll single out these single individuals. This one person was promoting not getting the vaccine and now they're dead. See, it's all bullshit. That's the game that they play. It's the twist that they put in. The data, this is a quote from this study, or from this article. The data is in line with the comments from federal and state health officials who have been saying for weeks that millions of unvaccinated Americans have been putting themselves at serious risk of the Delta variant, the most contagious coronavirus strain yet. You can feel the fear, this manipulation, this distortion. It's like that's their agenda. There's an agenda there. This is not information. I want you to first look for what's the agenda here. Look first for the agenda. Don't look for, is this true or not? Look for the agenda and monitor how you feel. Like, let your feeling tell you the truth. It will just, once you're clear. Now, if you've got polarities, like if you're polarized to, yes, I need the vaccine or I'm going to die, then it may feel light to you because you already have those bricks in place. You need to start from a place of not having the bricks and then seeing now what's like. Unvaccinated people are increasing the chance for more coronavirus variants, Healthline. And what's interesting is I was like, well, that one's out of left field. And I went and I read the article and they cited no sources. They were very generic. It was just kind of this fluffy, they weren't giving you any evidence whatsoever. And they never actually even proved their point. Unvaccinated people are increasing the chance of more coronavirus variants. And you can find the opposite article out there from the other side that says that the vaccines, people being vaccinated, are increasing the coronavirus variants. And both sides could be true. You could prove both sides true. But again, it's an attempt at manipulating, and a really bad attempt. Does that bring up anything for anybody? Or let me just say, what everything that brings up on the pile, way up front, way up front. So again, look for the biases. Look at these three articles. These are all on the same topic. Heart inflammation linked to Pfizer and Moderna jabs. Okay. A consistent pattern of cases occurring more frequently in younger males shortly after the second dose of the vaccine. The EMA analysis found that Pfizer Biotech, out of 144 cases of blood clots, different places, and 170 out of 177 million doses, there were 19 cases of heart issues. Out of 20 million doses, 5 people died. So they're giving you statistics here. When you feel the heart inflammation linked to Pfizer and Moderna jabs, what's the feel?
This
like-
one's tangled for me.
When I feel this, it's just like, meh. Like, it's not trying to pull you. It's not trying to say Moderna and Pfizer are bad and you shouldn't get it at all and you should run away screaming. And it's not saying that, oh, just ignore it. It's not a big deal. To me, this just feels like somebody giving data. It's just meh. Heart inflammation linked to Pfizer and Moderna jabs. Okay, so it's linked. And when you look at the data, out of 20 million doses, 5 people died, and out of 177 million doses, 19 cases of this. And like, it's just giving you data. Very simple. Feel this one here. Now, these are different people, different articles using the same information. Heart inflammation risk boosted slightly by vaccine, but more by COVID-19 study. How does that feel? Nobody? For
That
me,
feels slightly light.
yeah, it kind of wobbles a little bit. It's heart inflammation risk boosted slightly by a vaccine, more by COVID-19 study. It feels kind of clean, but there's a wobble there. There's something a little wobbly.
About the heart inflammation.
Widely used COVID-19 vaccine marginally increases the risk of heart inflammation, but the risk is higher among those infected with coronavirus, a study published Wednesday in the New England Journal of Medicine. It's like, okay, kind of data. They're saying, but they're being a little unclear about what they're doing. Now look at this one. Heart inflammation more common after COVID than Pfizer, or more COVID than Pfizer vaccine. It's like, there's something a little weird there. In contrast, coronavirus infections in unvaccinated individuals was associated with 11 excess cases of this heart inflammation per 100,000 infected individuals. They're trying to take this and spin it just a little bit, that heart inflammation is more common in COVID people than it is in Pfizer vaccine by 11 cases out of 100,000 infected individuals. They're using some data to spin it and kind of just change the focus a little bit. Instead of making Pfizer, Moderna possibly seem maybe a little suspect, we're going to change the focus and we're going to tangle it a bit. So both of these sort of tangle the information a little bit by saying, well, yeah, but COVID-19 is even worse. They're adding spin, but what you feel is just, it's tangly. So what I'll do is, often it's just, is this tangly? Yeah, just delete. Like, they're trying to do, it's a manipulation. They're trying to shift it a little bit. Here's another one that, again, what's the agenda here? BBC presenter Lisa Shaw died due to AstraZeneca vaccine complications. And that could be data, but why is this news? Okay, listen to this. An award-winning BBC radio presenter died due to complications from AstraZeneca vaccine. This is the one from China. A coroner has concluded. Lisa Shaw, who worked for BBC Newcastle, died at the age of 44 in May after developing severe headaches a week after having the AstraZeneca CCP, Chinese Communist Party virus vaccine, and falling seriously ill. what's the agenda here?
The Chinese have got it in for you.
Yeah, yeah. So it's that there's something with the China vaccine, and it's the Communist Party. As a matter of fact, there's a group of people out there call it the CCP vaccine, or the CCP virus, rather than the coronavirus, because they're saying it's the Chinese Communist Party virus, like they made it, blah, blah, blah. Right, there's their spin, so you can see where they're coming from. So it's like, I'm always looking for what's the agenda, what's the bias that is in this information, and how does it feel? And if it's twisty or tangly, that's the truth. You can then dig through and find more evidence of, you can find how they do that, or what that is. But like, start looking for your truth first. How does this feel? Even before, we didn't even have to open these, and we can already tell how they feel. Okay, look for red flags. The red flags that I have are anything that feels heavy or manipulative. Straight up, it's easy to feel. This phrase blew me away. I'm like, serious? You actually wrote that? You don't want to end up in the hospital on a respirator fighting for your life. Serious? You actually put that in your articles. Mainstream, I forgot which source I stole that from, but it's obvious fear peddling. Like, that's heavy and manipulative. Just like, don't even go near it. Just delete it. Don't even go near it. Don't even look at it. Again, this is my favorite one. 99% of Americans dying from the coronavirus are unvaccinated. Oh, go away. Go away. You smell. I can smell you from way out here. Okay. So here's two articles talking about the same thing. It just happened 2 days ago or yesterday or whatever it was. Unvaccinated, unmasked teacher spreads COVID-19 to elementary school. NBC. You can feel the shaming in that. Okay. Like, when you tap into that, you just feel like, ooh, shame, like bad, shame on you, bad teacher. You didn't follow the rules and you infected the whole elementary school. Actually, here's an article that's talking about the same exact thing, but it's not, there's no shaming in there. Unvaccinated teacher infected half her students with COVID, CDC fines. There still is a slight bit of judgment in there, but
I think that, yeah, that's a lot of judgment.
but, well, I mean, it actually did happen that way. She did bring it into the class, and technically she did infect half of the students in her class.
Right.
Technically, that's true. Yes. Are they, but you notice it isn't, this one is, they stretched it to be, she's infecting the whole elementary school. Right? Like they're whipping it up.
Gotcha.
And so it's like, you can see it, and skimming headlines and even looking in different news sources, you'll see the variation on the same information. And it's a cool education of finding it. But even that, if you read it, like, unvaccinated teacher infected half her students with COVID, CDC fines. Does that feel worth reading?
Not really.
No, it's like, do you have anything useful to gain from that? No. What is it going to give you? At best, it's going to give you fear or blame or shame, or like, but in that article, they did their best to not go there. They weren't great, but they did their best. But they weren't trying to protect the person either. They were like, yeah, she didn't exactly do it the way she was supposed to, but whatever. A Texas anti-mask organizer has died from COVID-19. And the article went on to celebrate how stupid this person was and how they got what they deserved. I mean, they didn't use those words, but that was the underlying shaming in the New York Times article. Okay, because here's this popular anti-mask organizer, and he died from COVID. See, don't you feel stupid now if you agreed with them? Like, that's all shaming. It's everything all this brings up, all in the pot. all in the pile. So here's the big takeaway I want to leave you with. If they're pushing fear or blame or shame or guilt, stop reading. It's a trap. The goal isn't to give you information. The goal is to create shaming. The goal isn't to give you information. The goal is to put you into fear. It's a trap, and you can feel it. So it's like when you get that email, you don't need to read it. You just tap into it. You're like, ooh, ooh, delete. Okay. If you feel something funky, delete it. If it's heavy or manipulative, don't even go there, because you know what it's going for. No reason to go. Questions on that?
Just a comment. I actually, either today or yesterday, saw an article, I think on Facebook, and it was about a really young lady. I think she's in her 30s. And the title of it was basically trying to say that this young woman was an anti-vaxxer and she got sick and died. So it was like, she's wrong. She did a bad thing. And then if you read the whole thing, she had actually been advised by her doctor that she should not get the vaccine. But it was interesting that small piece of information was left out of the title.
Yeah.
So it's like, what are they omitting?
Yeah,
that's interesting.
They weren't quite ready to shame the doctors yet, but
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah, and by the way, the doctor said that, which probably many articles would have left off. But yeah, it's everything that brought up, all in the pile. Again, it's realizing this is warfare. In warfare, it's okay to hurt and kill people, right? And in this warfare, it's okay to put people in fear and shame them. Like, that's part of warfare. Are you going to participate and accept? Are you going to take in their weapon, or are you going to use your awareness to go, yeah, no, I don't think so. I don't need to read that one. The other one is, and I had difficulty finding articles now. They've mellowed this out. They've learned, but it used to be more extreme in the past. But a red flag is anything that looks absolute or extreme. Like the whole 99% of Americans dying are unvaccinated. That's extreme. That should be there. That's just like, you just know, your gut just knows that's not true. They're manipulating something. There's some weird statistic they're manipulating. Everyone who gets the jab will die from it. I've heard that one too by multiple people. And they're almost like, they made their choice. They got the shot, and they're going to die. And like, that's their choice. They died, and we should honor them for their choice. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Like, they're just taking the opposite polarity and they're flipping it around 180 degrees. And that's it. It's just a polarity thing. But notice it's absolute. No, life doesn't work in absolute. Look for statistics that feel too clean or simple. My favorite one that I think we all get by now is 4 out of 5 dentists recommend this toothpaste. It's like, okay, so you can get any 4 dentists that you paid and a 5th one you didn't, who said, no, I wouldn't recommend that toothpaste. And you can say 4 to 5 doctors recommend this toothpaste. What does it mean? Doesn't mean shit, right? Okay. So look for statistics that feel clean or simplistic. The truth is not that simple, ever, 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 ever. And again, my favorite, 99% of Americans are dying from coronavirus are unvaccinated. It just feels too clean, too simple. They wanted to say 100%, but they knew they wouldn't get away with that. So they said 99. It's just obvious. So look for statistics that are off. The truth is not clear cut, and the truth is not alluring. The truth is kind of boring. It's like, it's just kind of there. Jabbed adults infected with Delta can match virus levels of unvaccinated. Okay, fully vaccinated adults can harbor virus levels as high as unvaccinated people if infected with the Delta variant, according to sweeping analysis of UK data. How does that make you feel? Kind of confusing and like I don't know, like, but it doesn't, like, there doesn't feel agenda-y-ish, but it's not clear cut. It's like they're basically saying that fully vaccinated adults can also carry the virus at just as high level as people who are unvaccinated. Like, the Delta variant can be carried by whether, even if you're vaccinated, you can carry it. That's what they're trying to say. It's like, but it's convoluted. It's like, we're looking for what is true. Well, what they're saying is this is not black and white. This is muddy. This is blurry. Like, that's more true. Like, that's, yeah. Delta infection, unvaccinated and vaccinated people have similar levels of virus. They did a better job with their headline, at least. You can feel it's kind of like, I don't feel an agenda there. And it's not clear. That's normal. When you get lies, they're like, everyone who is unvaccinated is going to carry the Delta virus and spread it to everybody else. That's too polarized. It's too clear cut. The truth is not that clear. COVID cases in England are 26 times higher than a year ago. What is your reaction to that?
Testing's 26 times higher than a year ago.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's many, it's kind of like,
Just information.
it's just information. It's information. It's like, it's not, there's not a, you don't feel an agenda there. It's just information. And yeah, if you read the article, it probably is because they're testing more. Okay, big deal. They're testing more. So it's like, is this even worth having an article? Whatever. We need to write something, so we do. Delta variant, can vaccinated boosters stop its spread? Okay, so it's a little intriguing. It's a little grabbing, but it's not black and white. It's not saying Delta variant can stop the spread, or the vaccine booster can stop Delta variant spread. That would be suspect. But they're asking, can it? Yeah, and that's kind of the question they're asking right now. That's closer to the truth. It's like, it's not black and white. Check sources and compare. I would also say check the sources that you're checking, like, or check where you're checking sources. So not only check sources and compare other information. For instance, if you're using Google, Google curates their information. They send you information based on things you've clicked before. They don't show you all the viewpoints that are out there, just the viewpoints you've clicked before. You need to go to a service that doesn't curate. I use like duckduckgo.com. And like, you type in the same search thing in multiple search engines and you'll see different articles, completely different articles coming up. Google's articles are curated. So I will also check on other websites or other search engines as well. It's like, don't just check CNN to see what's true or Fox News to see what's true, because they have a slant. You want to skim a lot of different ones. And after a while, you'll notice certain ones don't push the agenda as much as other ones do. And some aim to have little agenda. Like, but you, again, you want to look at that and you want to look at the sources of it. So for instance, 99% of Americans dying coronavirus unvaccinated. you start poking around in this, and they're playing games with statistics. By checking, I don't believe it, I go and I check the sources. One of the ones that I had was the thing about ivermectin. I was really interested in ivermectin. I'm like, oh, this sounds really interesting. And then you go dig into the sources and you find it's some guy who's kind of, his data's maybe a little sketchy. And you look at the data, I mean, looking at the data, you're like, I don't necessarily know what this data means, but something feels off about this data. And I start reading about him and something just felt off about it. Did I know the truth? No. But here's the main guy that everybody's basing, one of the main guys, everybody's basing their thing on. And it feels sketchy. And then, so I just let it go. The truth will find its way out. Down the road, researchers start to look at that data and they're like, dude, this is clearly made up and this is altered and this is doctored. This doesn't even match that. So the data wouldn't even fit in the same data set. And it's like, he then retracted it because he realized, or whatever reason he retracted it, but dig in the sources and feel what the source feels like and see what that, is there something here going on? Most COVID deaths in England are now in the vaccinated. How does that feel? Does it feel true?
No.
Feels like a distortion in there. There's maybe some truth in it, but more vaccinated people are dying of COVID than unvaccinated people, according to a recent report from Public Health. The report shows that 163 of the 257 people who died of the COVID variant within 28 days of a positive COVID test between February 1st and the 21st had received at least one dose. So they've narrowed the data set to between a certain time period and compared just people who had gotten the test.
Right.
And so they've massaged or narrowed the data in a way to come to this conclusion. Okay, so is it true if you massage the data this way? Yeah, maybe, but does it really feel true? It feels like a manipulation. You can feel something's not quite. Most people who die with COVID in England have had vaccination. Okay, again, it's all the same thing. Start digging around in the source of it, and then you start to go, yeah, you know, they're kind of making up stuff. Again, they're pushing the vaccination thing. That's the agenda. The agenda is vaccination. And you just dig in it and you can start to feel that. Hold the information. Yes, everything that brought up, because that brought up stuff. What is everything that brought up for anybody? Anybody have words for it?
I'm actually confused because it says why most people. I'm trying to scroll.
You're saying that they only got one dose.
Yeah.
So you need to get 2 doses.
At least 1 dose.
Right.
So
it's got a slant of you need to go ahead and finish getting it to be fully protected.
And I'm also taking it.
At least one.
I'm also taking it out of context, and you'd have to read the whole article to find it. But what you can see.
The Guardian one, we haven't got the article though. We've only got the headline, so we don't actually know what they're saying.
Yeah, they're all reporting on the same data.
All right.
They're all reporting on the same data. They're all taking the same spin, taking the same data for a ride. Or these two are taking the same data for a ride. Yeah. I should have just had those two blocked. These two are the same. Oops, article.
I have to admit to getting zoned out and feeling all tangly for quite some time.
Yep.
So
Cool.
I'm not feeling
So what is
anything.
everything? What is everything that's upper active? All that in the pile. because I'm using this to stir up crap as well. And everything from down below in the pile and back behind in the pile. When the crap builds up too high, you kind of zone out, and all the bigger stuff up above, all the above that, from the left, from the right, everything from inside body, from head to toe, everything from down below. And can we just try and create all that?
Yes, I choose.
Yeah, I choose that. And I haven't cleared exploiters. And what is all the entities, demonic creatures, aliens, reptilians, parasitics, beings, doings, gods, non-contributive energies and frequencies here? Pre-tag, print caps at all, free, step down, trace, scanned all their networks, hype civilizations, universes, all their customers, clients, shareholders, dark board directors, pre-tag, print caps, all. Wow. And where were we, the infinite being, at their creation, assembly, gilding, sourcing, inception, insertion, modification, corruption, distortion, pre-tag, print caps at all. Wow. And can we banish all these energies?
Yes, I choose that.
Yes, I choose that.
Out, banish, anguish, out, banish, anguish, out, banish, anguish. And what are all the manipulations and illusions holding him in place? And all the identity theft, borrowed credibility, Trojan horses, false reciprocal debt, recursive entrapments, and perceive all the cores. And can we destroy and create all this stuff?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes, I choose that.
and pulverize all the cores. And less than nothing. I'll wait. Less than nothing. And out, banishing, out, banishing, out, banishing. So the polarity moves in, and then the interference lives in the polarity. And you get enough of that, and you're like, So the other thing I've noticed is hold the information lightly and don't get attached to it. Don't try to. This headline isn't about truth. Headlines are not about truth. Headlines are by design to grab your attention. Headlines are manipulative by design. Okay, they have the person write the article, and then they have a specialist who takes that article and writes the headline for that. Or that's the older model. Like, you have a person who's trained in basically marketing and manipulation, and they're looking for what headline expresses that article and grabs the reader. Their primary objective is to grab the reader. So it's manipulative by design. Just to start with, a headline is often designed to grab you. So it's even just because it's a headline, it's already slightly manipulative. They don't have to use it that way, but it typically is. Hold the information lightly. Don't assume that anything is true. And this one we've all watched here recently. Senator Tom Cotton repeats fringe theory of coronavirus origins. This is when he came up with it, and then Trump said the coronavirus was from a lab in Wuhan. And then, so this is New York Times. It reported it as their first take on it was fringe theory. And so this is slightly after the vaccine, after the virus came out. Ignore conspiracy theory. Scientists know that COVID was not created in a lab, wasn't created in a lab. And this is slightly later. So a couple months later, they were like, the party line is, no, it wasn't created in a lab. And even though the WHO kind of had a good sense it was created in a lab, they couldn't prove it. And they knew that China would be so arrogant that if they said it was created in a lab, China would never cooperate. So the leaders of the WHO said, we're going to say it wasn't created in a lab so that China plays nicely, so they don't feel threatened, and they give us information. But then when Trump came out and said, no, this is definitely in a lab, it blew WHO's thing, and China got resistant and locked everything down and said, we aren't talking about it. I'm sure the United States created it. And right now they're saying that it came from Fort Detrick in the United States. That's who created it. That's the new spin on it. But so it started out with like, how do you know what's true? You don't. You don't. You can feel, when you feel it, it's like when I first heard, so for you, when you first heard that it was created in a lab, did that feel heavy? Did that feel like a lie, or did that feel true, or somewhere between? Where did it feel to you?
I think that felt more true than the other theory of
The bat.
something about somebody
people.
that, yeah, eating bat soup. Like that was a bit far-fetched for me.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's like, that's where, like, we don't know the truth, and we may never find the truth on this. Like, it's couched in a way now where good luck. But what do you know when you feel it? When you feel it, it's like, did it come from a lab? Kinda. Yeah, there's sort of lightness. It's not the whole story. Like,
Well, there
was it gain of
was gonna say-
function research?
yeah.
Yeah. Was gain of function research involved with it? Yeah, it feels kind of light. Like, was it released deliberately? Oh, it feels kind of heavy. Was it a weapon of war? No, it feels really heavy. It's like, at this point, it's like almost all you can do is use your heavy and light with it. Like, I don't know. Yeah, it's like we don't know the data where they've gotten now. They went to, yes, Biden orders investigation. It's lab leak is possible. And then this is then shortly after that, at the same time, no, science clearly shows COVID wasn't a leak from Wuhan. And just recently, why the coronavirus lab leak theory won't go away, because there's enough truth. The lab leak hypothesis is a probable scenario. Okay. And this is the World Health Organization leaders are even saying that. It's like, is it true? Who knows? Don't get attached to it. Like other people get attached. This is true. And they get into polarity about it. It's like, don't use that. Just use, I got a gut. My gut says there's something there, but I don't know exactly what's true. You hold it lightly. I don't get attached to it. And then my last thing here is clear after reading and watching the news. Like every time I read articles, watch somebody's opinion on COVID, it's like you want to clear all of that stuff. I'm going to mute Hanny here. So what is everything that's upper active? Wow. Around all the COVID stuff in the pile. And so what I'm
definitely feel like it's 2 quarters.
It's 2 what? Say it again, Ashley or Henny.
I muted myself by accident. Sorry.
Oh, okay. So you weren't meaning to say that. Okay, good. And so everything in the pile. And so what is everything that's upper active? What are all the decision judgments, conclusions, computations you have around any of the stuff we've engaged here so far? All the projections, expectations, rejections, separations around this. This is all interference, all that in the pile. And what is all the form, structure, significance? Anywhere where you've made that, big deal. All that in the pile. And what is everything we decided all this stuff means that it doesn't actually mean? Wow. And if most of this is lies, then it's typically going to be not. It doesn't mean what we think it means. All that in the pile. And what is everything we decided it doesn't mean that it actually does mean? Wow. Everything down below that, below that, below that, all in the pile. Somebody's walking on a creaky floor. I'm going to mute. And what is all the unconsciousness, anti-consciousness, energy fog, disinformation, cloaking, Wernicke's command, booby traps, covert, unseen, unacknowledged, undisclosed energies, unknowable, unspeakable, unseeable, untouchable, undetectable energies around all this? Wow. And all that in the pile, way up front, way up front. And yeah, what is everything? We'll do split. So beings, what is, so all these points of view, the whole mass of all the points of view, what is everything from all of that that you're aligning and agreeing with? that you're resisting and reacting to, that you're defending for, that you're defending against, that you're righteous for, that you're righteous against, and can we put all that in the pile?
Yes, I choose
Yeah,
that.
I choose it. Friend. And bodies, and further out, and body, let all that go. Not you, not yours, encapsulate. There we go. And bodies, what is everything that you're aligning and agreeing with? And you're resisting and reacting to? And you're defending for? And you're defending against? And you're righteous for? And you're righteous against? And all that in the pile. And when I look at the difference between being and body, what I noticed is most of this warfare and most of the sticky stuff is sticky for being, their viewpoints, their concepts that are tangly, that then cause the body to be impressed upon with fear or whatever. It's like the body doesn't like how uncomfortable everybody feels, but it's not taking on a lot of the points of view. It's more the being in the mind that grabs points of view. Body is more in reaction to the stuff that the beings grab or that other humans around us have grabbed. And so that's where it's like, body, you can let all that go. That just belongs to somebody else. Let all that go, not you, not yours, not you, not yours. Let it go, let it go, let it go. If I hang around other people, I just automatically, yep, just let all that go. Not you, not yours, not you, not yours. Oh, and encapsulate all that stuff. And can we shrink all that stuff in the pile down to less than nothing?
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. And all the bigger stuff. Shrink, smaller, small, 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 small. Yeah. Wow. And so what are all the viewpoints or energies that I've picked up? So after I watch some program or some viewpoint, even if I think I'm clean about it, I will ask this question. What are all the viewpoints or energies I picked up that are not to my local advantage? Was everything I got from this program or from reading this article and in the pile? I deliberately choose to let that go. I'm not going to hold on to any polarity for any reason. And here's my two little things. If it makes you feel bad or mad, there's a lie in there somewhere. And I'm going to say all this stuff has lies in it. All of it. It all has lies. It's information warfare. It's propaganda more than it is factual. So it's going to mess with you. Put it in the pile. Don't grab it. Anytime you're making yourself wrong, there's some interference there that you're not acknowledging. So look for where you feel funky or bad or mad and just put it all in the pile. You're engaging lies and it's all saturated in lies. It's just like that. And then ask your body to perceive the truth in your reality. So it's like, I'll often look at an article, like let's go to my favorite article here. 99% of Americans are dying of the coronavirus. 99% of the Americans dying of the coronavirus are unvaccinated. Okay, so feel the energy of that. And then what percent of that is true? And just feel the field of information there. And what percent of that is something else? And what do you get? Which pile is bigger?
Something else.
Something else. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So and you can even go down, if you can do this really explicitly, I'll go through an article and I'll be like, okay, well, what percent of that was true? More than 50%, less than 50%, less, more than 25%, less than 25, less, more than 15%, less than 15%, less, more than 10%, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so this article was 12% true. Great. Okay. Like, if you want, like, go down to that level, if you can go down to that level, but just see like you know what feels true and what doesn't. If something feels tangly about something, it's usually there's a truth and a lie, and you've bought the truth and there's a lie in there that's attached to it, that's chewing away at you. So if you get that, you can ask, what are all the truths here, and perceive, and what are all the lies here? Yuck. And all those lies, can we put all that in the pile?
Yes, I choose
Yeah.
that.
Way out
Yes,
front.
I choose that.
Encapsulate way out front. Wow. So that's how I clean up afterwards. I let go of all the viewpoints. I typically double check like what percent of this is true, just so I get a sense of what my being knows is true here. And if there's something tangly I'm walking away with, I'll sort out what's the truth here, what's the lie here, and sometimes just knowing the lie in that. Like for instance, the lie in the this is interesting. The lie in the COVID stuff, that so you just saw the 99% of Americans dying from coronavirus are unvaccinated. Okay, blah 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 blah. This is a recent one here. So this statistic is from 2 days ago, I think, August 28th. And from 2 days ago, or 3 days, depending on how you want to look at it. So this is from the CDC's website. This is their data. So this is the current graphing of, so from 8/28, you see the current data of weekly cases of COVID sorted by age. And let me zoom into this. Okay, so the weekly cases, this is per 100,000 people. So in the young kids range, it's 44 kids per 100,000 people. Okay, so that's how many people are engaging the virus. And at older age levels, you can see that that number gets higher, like so 16 to 17-year-olds engaging it more. The 18, 19, there it gets higher. 40, 49, they're engaging it less. 50 to 60, less. 60, 64, it's even smaller. 75, this is probably because they're isolating. Okay, so that's, but take a look at this one. So they were talking about deaths. So let's look by deaths. So here's deaths. This is again, August 28th, same day, 2 days ago. So here's the number of deaths at the, I grabbed the wrong data point, 8/21. So it was a week ago. Okay. Deaths per 100,000, 0.003 per 100,000. So the highest number here is in the 75-year-old plus, one person per 100,000 people who in the population are dying. So the death rate is actually very small. When you look at that article, it said 99% of the people dying, and people are dying of this, and all the unvaccinated people are dying, and blah, 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 blah. It's all that is happening in the context of this data here. This is the data from, this is just the United States, but it's the most clear data that I can get from the CDC's website directly. This is all the COVID deaths for the entire COVID thing. And you can see here's the initial spike, and then here's the spike that happened in January. And then here's where we are now. Okay. Why we're here, how much of this is due to vaccination, how much is this due to the virus isn't as deadly, how much is it due to whatever. There's not enough data out there to find out. They either don't want to or they don't know. I'm going to just say they don't know. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. But this is right here what's occurring in terms of the number of people who are dying from this disease. So it's like sometimes looking at this gives you a sense of perspective. So it's like you can dig in and you can explore it, but look at both sides of it. Look at the data, look at the raw data of it and go, yeah, you know, something here, like if you were to look at all those articles, you'd be like, man, people are dying left and right, and it's a huge deal. You look at this, you're like, yeah, this is not such a big deal anymore. Okay. So what is true? How bad would COVID be for me? So they don't have new data on this. After they thought about the idea of the vaccine, they stopped focusing on this. But I think this is really helpful to get a perspective of it. How bad would COVID be for me? And what are the odds that COVID would basically harm my body in some way? The first solid case they had, this is old because this is the only data that they have at the moment, or that's public available, is early they had a cruise ship, very small number of passengers, but this is what happened. Of the whole cruise ship got infected. Everybody on the cruise ship was infected, and they all got the same thing, and they were all running wild. They're all free, and they didn't know it. And then people started getting sick, and then in the end, they tested everybody. But they got solid data on what percentage of people are affected. This is the original variant, alpha variant. 1% of the people died. 4% of the people had severe. 40% of the people had mild cases, and 55% had it but were asymptomatic. Okay, they could detect it, but they were asymptomatic. They didn't have symptoms from it. So 94% of the people on that cruise ship, it was not a big deal for. That's the alpha variant. Okay, now they did more research and they got more data. This is from the World Health Organization briefing, similar time, but they had a broader span of data that was similar to this. And what they found is that 81% of the people were either asymptomatic, they had no symptoms or really mild, or they had like fever comparable mild. Severe cases was 14%, critical or death was 5 and 3%. So what are the odds back then? Remember the pandemonium that was occurring back then? That was all in the face of 81%. It's the same as a virus, or it's not a big deal at all, which would be the same as a virus, or as like normal flu, seasonal flu. So kind of gives you a sense of perspective. This is the information you need to make an intelligent decision. Now, how does this deal with the Delta variant? Is the Delta variant worse than the Alpha variant? They don't know. The negative spin at the moment suggests that it's 2.6 times higher risk of hospitalization, or 1.6 times higher risk of intensive care stuff. Other research says twofold. This is just the stuff out of the EU. Other places, some places have data that says it's the same. Other people say it's inconclusive. So right now, the biggest hint is that they're not talking about it. They're not talking about it at all. So why would they not talk about it?
Because there's nothing to say.
Because they don't know, or because the data says that it's probably similar, like, yes, it spreads more, but less people die from it. Like when I ask what's like, how much is the Delta variant? Are more people dying, more people who get the Delta variant? No, how do I word it? How much are people who get the Delta variant dying more than they would have from the Alpha variant? Or how much are people with the Delta variant dying at a lesser rate than the Alpha variant? And to me, the second one feels lighter.
Yes, agreed.
So my gut is on why there's no data. Like there's just no data. They just stopped talking about this. Why? Because this is information you need in order to make an intelligent choice. But it's not about making an intelligent choice. Now it's about doing what you're told. So my gut says it's at least similar to this in some way. So what are your odds? I'll let you decide. But my best guess is, I'm presenting this to you here, is we don't know. And
Yeah,
we
how
don't
much
know.
is it?
Go.
How much is it affecting different populations versus affecting the same population in a different way?
Exactly. And that's not
That's a bigger
studied
question.
accurately enough to
Right,
come up with
exactly.
conclusive data on it. People have tried to
Right.
cobble that data together, and they've seen what you're talking about. They're like, yeah,
Right.
this doesn't fit. And it's, the data's collected in different ways. Some exclude this, some include that. Like here in some countries like Thailand, if you get COVID, you automatically go into a hospital. Even if you have no symptoms, they put you in a hospital. It's their way of isolating. But technically, you're a hospitalization. So you can't use hospitalization rate to mean it's severe, because you could be asymptomatic and still be in a hospital with COVID in Thailand.
Right.
And other countries are like that too. So the datas don't compare, and they don't work real hard to try to make the data compare, because it's just get the vaccine and then you'll be saved.
Right.
Okay.
Well, I think what they're saying now is, before, original COVID wasn't likely to spread in the healthy and the young, but the
Mhm.
Delta
Will spread more in the healthy and young.
yeah, and the children,
Yeah. And yes, is that true? Yeah, that feels light. When you shared that, it feels light, and it feels light to me. And so yes, it does
Yeah.
that. It's like we have the ability to use our heavier and lighter and find the truth long before scientists ever will, if they ever will. And this is science trying to be done in this polarized game, where there's some science that's trying to disprove the governments, and some science is trying to prove the exaggerated claims of the government. And then there's scientists who are in the middle trying to make sense of any of it, and noticing this doesn't work because everybody's playing a different game. The game isn't about truth here. The game is about control and polarity. If it was about truth, science would have an easier job of it, and they'd be more consistent with their data collection and reporting. They're not. So what do you do? Could the vaccine, so what do? You ask yourself, like, how bad would COVID be for me? How bad would, if I didn't have a point of view about it, if I didn't have polarity about it, we push all that in the pile. If I didn't have a point of view about it, truth body, would COVID be, would we be more inclined to be asymptomatic about it? Would we be more inclined to have a mild case about it? Would we be more inclined to have a severe case about it? Would we be more inclined to have a death about it? And for me personally, the middle one, mild case, was lighter. If you go up into this and you start to go into fear, or you feel these other words inserted, then you've got interference participating. You got to clear interference before you can find your truth. Like, don't accept interference as lies as truth. But that's how I know. My gut says it either would not, like, I wouldn't even notice it. Part of me almost questions whether I've been exposed to it already. And my gut is I have. That's just my intuitive gut, that I've been exposed to it and wasn't a deal. Okay. But body tells me I'd be somewhere in there. That's as accurate as science is at this point, maybe more accurate than science is, because it's personalized to you. Okay. This one here. Would the vaccine be a benefit or not? Here's how I check it. Truth, what is my life like in 20 years if I get the vaccine? And I just feel what that creates, like the size of the cloud and how light that feels. What does my life feel like in 20 years if I do something else? And what do you notice about that? Everybody's on mute.
I get something else, but I'm in a different situation because I'm actually in healthcare and I've already received the vaccine.
Yeah.
So.
I get more information on something else, but it doesn't feel, it feels kind of, I mean, heavy in the sense of not lying heavy. It just feels like heavier information, like hard work.
Yeah. Yeah. Like when I look at the two of them, like this has more content to it. It feels lighter, but this one doesn't feel like a big deal. It's like almost like, like, so what? Like my body's
it feels like
response
it just is.
It's just not a big deal. It's like, who cares? Like, it's so not a thing. The only thing that makes it a thing is the negative stuff that is up here, the lies that the polar opposite in the war put out there. Like, truth, would your body be able to negate or clear up or counteract anything that's in a vaccine that would be potentially detrimental to you? Yeah.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
you naturally would find a way to support your body to clear that or change it or do it. So it's like the question becomes, like, just from getting this, like, how big a deal is this? My sense is,
I actually sat in the parking lot for a long time before I actually went in, and I got it down to, I was like, it's really not a big deal. Just go in and get it. Like, you need to get it. Just go. It's not a big deal.
yeah, otherwise it makes your
I
job
felt
complicated.
good about it.
Right.
Yeah, I want to say I felt good about it. I didn't feel good about it, but I didn't feel bad about it. It just was.
Yeah.
Went in and got it, and I was done.
That's the kind of feeling that I had with it, is like, it's so not a deal that if the world did, like, if I couldn't avoid taking it, or if it became such a big deal, fine, whatever, I'll just fucking take it. Who cares? Like, it's just not worth the struggle. It's not as big a deal as everybody makes it out to be. Now, I'm not saying everybody who listens to that has the same reactions as we have. Some people, it may be a big deal, and maybe getting the vaccine is not. But you want to look at, are you coming from polarity? And the way you know is, it's like, if when you go, what is my life like in 20 years if I get the vaccine? If you have a little voice, they're like, no, I never get it. I'm not going to do that. I will never stoop to that. No, it's stupid. No, it's killing people. Or no, I could, like, that's all the bullshit. That's all the noise. That's all the polarity. We just destroy all that. No, it's like, you want to be, if you're in a place where it's like, I could get it or not, like, it doesn't matter. That's when you're in a place where you can find your truth. That's where you want to be, in a place where, yeah, I get it or not, whatever. What's lighter? Oh, my body says this. Cool. I'll run with that.
I find for me, with this particular question, it's still a little heavy if I ask, what would it be like in 20 years if I get the vaccine? Not like incredibly heavy, but it's still a kind of a yucky feel.
Yep.
And it is more expansive for me if I ask what it'll be like if I do something else.
Yeah.
But it's still not a very clear, absolutely this or absolutely that. So for me, I think I have more clearing to do, because it's so, it's not clear cut enough yet for me.
Well, see, I experienced the same thing too. It is so not a big deal that it's not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? Like, the difference between these two for me, I mean, I can tell the difference. This is lighter and this is not as light, but it's like, if I did get it, it wouldn't be a big deal. It's not, it's like, yeah, whatever. Like, it's a big deal when it's a big deal. Like, when this is clearly a bad thing and this is clearly a good thing, then when you feel one pile they'll be very different, and the information is very strong and it's very clear. But if it's not a huge deal, the information just isn't that strong. It's like, whatever, like, this is a little better, but it's not a big deal. If you need to get it, then
Yeah,
get
so
it.
that's what I mean. Like, even though the piles aren't a great big difference,
Mhm.
I'm still not in that place where it's no big deal if I get
I
it.
see what you're saying. Got it. Yeah, yeah.
Is
that-
your
Okay.
and
number of
Well
years
said.
And
too
that's
big?
where so that's where I'd like to be,
Yeah,
where
no, what she's saying
I
is
can
she
just
still
get it.
has some polarity on it that she hasn't let go of. And so
Yes,
there
I
still is a
figure out-
charge. There still is a charge on it. Yeah. And
Yes,
that's good notice. And so my invitation is you keep clearing until you can be to a place where it doesn't matter which one you choose because you don't have a point of view about it. From that space, I then ask, what is my awareness? What is my knowing body? How do you feel about that? Like that, all of that polarity creates the noise that I can't hear what my truth is, or at least clearly. So
but I think
keep,
that's what's interesting for me, because this has been snagging me for so long.
Mhm.
I feel as though I've been clearing points of view on it. So
Mhm.
to have gone through this and gotten all the perspectives and everything, I still find it, odd for me that I'm still feeling tangled about this. Like, what is it I'm not catching to get me to that place that I'm seeking to be?
Yeah.
Because I've even done so much
So-
receiving on it.
so when you have tangles, it's
Yeah.
this here. It's like,
Okay.
what are all the truths here? What are all the truths in these tangles? What are all the lies in these tangles? What do you notice?
They're both about the same to me.
Really? Okay. We'll keep sitting with that.
Yeah.
Keep asking that question. Lies generate tangles. So it's
Yeah.
one of those things where you just keep going and going and clearing and clearing. I didn't get to a place overnight where I was just clear. Oh, it's tangle as hell for weeks and weeks and weeks. And I just kept digging out and digging out. Cause I mean, we were saturated in all this disinformation and all this funky shit and all this charge. Everything was super charged. Now we're kind of desensitized to a lot of it. It's like, yeah, same bullshit, different year. Come on. Like, let's get on with it, right? Like it's a different game, and on some level I think it's going to eventually keep going to that, where it'll ride so long, we'll be like, look, and I can read through all this bullshit, enough of the bullshit, just what's fucking true, and like things will untangle themselves from that point of view. But just keep intending to clear and get to that space where whatever, I could choose this or I could choose that. Clear those
Yeah.
tanglies. That's the
Sounds-
this program wasn't to be exhaustive to bring up all the tangles. It was to show you the bigger picture of what's going on. And when you can see the war of the sides, you can start to interpret things more clearly. That's kind of the bottom line is you just keep clearing and you keep becoming more aware. And how can I become more aware of what's going on here and be aware beyond that and aware beyond that? And the awareness is what protects you. The other stuff, not so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions before we do a final clearing?
I was going to say, is there some nice receiving we can do on it?
Yeah. 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 Let me.
One question before
Yeah.
you do that though.
Yeah.
The inability to feel like you're clearing though, can't that just be the need to clear the me, my, or I? Where is it?
Yeah. In other words,
Local, or where
interference
is
is
it?
in
Foreign
there.
or distant?
Interference is in there.
So
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah, I
you're
feel
still
that too.
seeing.
I feel that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll let's do that. That's actually what caused me to say I still need to clear. So what are all the remaining active covert manipulation? Oh, okay. Let me stop this. And it looks like and zoom, zoom, zoom. So what are all the exploiters, corruptors, tricksters, entities, demonic creatures, aliens, reptilians, parasitics, beings, doings, gods, angels, light beings, slippery beings, archons, all others, pre-tag, print caps at all, free step penetration, scan at all, including all the hidden cloaks, seemingly accessible, not active, yet to be identified, energies and frequencies, pre-tag, print caps at all. What are all the energies that are pretending to insert their opinion as if they were you? Pre-tag, print caps at all those, all the me, my, or I, that's foreigner at a distance, pre-tag, print caps at all those, pre-tag, print caps at all. And what are all their networks, hive civilizations, universes, customers, client shares, stock board directors, controllers, handlers, commanders, pre-tag, print caps at all. And where were we, the infinite being, at their creation, at their assembly, at their gilding, at their sourcing, at their inception, at their insertion, at their modification, at their corruption, at their distortion, pre-tag, print capsate from all those points, trace, check, scan, ideal, and can we banish all these energies?
Yes, I choose
Yes,
that.
I
Yes,
choose
I
that.
choose that.
Out, banishing,
Let's choose
out, banishing, out, banishing, resend book, you can't reclaim bad price, bind, null, void, out, banishing, out, banishing. And what are all the remaining manipulations and illusions that are here? Wow, encapsulate, and all the identity theft, borrowed credibility, some Trojan horses, yeah, a lot. Inversions, oh, yuck. False reciprocal debt, encapsulate, and all the recursive entrapments. Ugh. And all the cores, perceive the number of cores, and can we destroy and create all that stuff?
Yes, I choose that.
Yes, I choose
Yeah,
that.
I choose that. And pulverize the cores and shrink to less nothing. And out, banish anguish, out, banish anguish, out. Resend booking, account claim, pay pricing. And what are all the remaining stacks, stringers, hooks, triggers, and implants that are left from any of this stuff? Like, I also noticed that you engage some of these topics. Like, I could read an article in a really, really badly done article that's really slanted, can install demonic stuff. You can feel demons or you can feel aliens. Like, there's some places where you can even sort through and go, how much is this? Like, how do I grab it? How much of are the aliens supporting the government agenda? How much are the gods supporting the government agenda? Do you notice which one's lighter there?
Aliens.
How much of the aliens supporting the anti-vaccination agenda? How much of the gods supporting the anti-vaccination agenda?
I
And
get the gods.
I actually find that it depends on how you look at it. You can see it in different ways. I notice more gods promoting
Gods.
the government agenda and more aliens promoting the anti-vax agenda. But they kind of work against each other. Sometimes they work together, but it's just an interesting, I just explore weird stuff like that. But you can read strong opinion pieces that are very shaming, and you'll feel the God stuff in there. You'll feel it. Gods love shaming and blaming and all that kind of stuff. They're just like, ooh, they eat it up. Aliens are like, oh, don't bother me with that. So all that stuff in the pile. What are all the stacks, stringers, hooks, implants, and triggers that we've picked up around any of the topics we've engaged today? All that in the pile. What are all the structures, constructs, adaptations, mutations, systems, and nests? Run any of that stuff? Ooh, nests. All that in the pile. Way up front. And what are all the disguised memory implants around any of this stuff? Any fake memory stored in body? Oh, and all those in the pile. All those in the pile. Wow. And everything remaining, all in the pile. And what is everything remaining from down below? In the pile. Back behind, up above, way up front, from the left, from the right, everything from inside body, head to toe, everything stored inside planet. Whoa. Encapsulate and body and planet, let all that go. Not you, not yours. Never was yours, never was yours. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Whoa. Wow. And can we shrink all this stuff down to less than nothing?
Yes,
Yes, I choose that.
Yeah, I choose that. Oh, wait, no. and all the remaining exploiters, corruptors, tricksters, pre-tag, pre-encapsulate, free, stop, down, trace, Scannadel, out, banish anchors, out, banish anchors, out, banish anchors, out, rescindable, key camera, claim, data, wow. So I think kind of, I want to do some receiving. If I look at what's going on at a bigger picture, this is the evolution of a planetary society. And everybody is getting the opportunity to become aware of the corruption that is in all the different sides of it, and start to make different choices and different decisions about how to do things. I think we're at a threshold of awakening and a change point in interacting in this planet in a different way through more awareness, and it's doing it by hitting the polarity on the opposite side, by hitting the control. It's like really pushing the whole control agenda. I still have a positive perception of where all this is going. There's no part of me that can even imagine how it's going to get there. Maybe there's a little part of me, but I see the alignment of so many people becoming aware of the interference and the manipulation and the weird agendas that it's just going to go there. Like, awareness changes the game every time. Awareness trumps everything is my way of saying it. Once you become aware of something, you don't have to know the details. You just know how to interact with it because you get it. And that was my goal in this program, is to have you see the bigger picture of this, so you just kind of start to get it and can make cleaner decisions about how you interact with content and information. But let's do some receiving. So what awareness, energy, and frequency can we in our bodies be to have a more enjoyable and simple, easy, graceful, flowing time through this evolution on our planet? And receive. It's like, when I look at how I've been able to navigate in the country that I've been in, I mean, they've had lockdowns and they've had weird stuff, and I've been able to just kind of navigate around any of the weird stuff that came up. And like, I was just in the right place at the right time, and just had the right access to certain things, and certain things just didn't need to apply to me that would have made my life challenging. And it was my awareness that did that. It's like, yeah, I'm just going to skirt this. I'm just going to not get involved in that little thing there. And I'm not going to get involved in that. And it's like, what awareness, energy, and frequency can you be to allow your awareness to carry you over top of all the stupid shit? And receive. Wow. And it's easy to get in this survival space around it. It's like, which is, again, a polarized viewpoint. It's like, what awareness, energy, and frequency can you be to actually use all of this COVID stuff to your local advantage? And receive. It's like, how can you use this space and this time and these weird situations in a way that benefits you personally? And receive. And notice any resistance to that. Like, ditch that. So what masterful interaction with other people's viewpoints and other people's content and other people's agendas, lies, manipulations, what masterful interaction with that is now possible? And receive. And I can't say that I was masterful in interacting with this 2 years ago, but after doing this for 2 years, I can now get really tangled in anything I choose to get tangled in. And every so often I'll choose it just because it's interesting. And then I'll go down the rabbit hole, and then I dig myself out, and then I go find my awareness on it. I'll play like that. I don't. And then there are other times where it's just like, I ain't fucking going there. I don't need it. My life is busy enough right now. I just don't need the bullshit. I'm not going to look at news. I'm not going to listen to any stupid crap. I'm not going to pay attention to it. I'm just going to do me. And then at times I get bored and I'm like, well, let's go digging. Let's go have some fun. And I'll play in it. But it's that willingness to play, dig myself out, get clear, find out what my truth is, that gives me the confidence to look at and explore any of this stuff and not get bent out of shape over it. It's because I know I can dig myself out because I've done it thousands and thousands and thousands of times now. So that's what awareness, energy, and frequency can you and your body be to masterfully surf all of this content, surf or avoid all of this content, and use it and create a life that works for you to your local advantage and receive. And what play and fun, and I'm actually getting to the place where I can actually start to say that I actually have fun with some of this stuff now. I have fun going on CNBC and glancing at their thing and just noticing how freaking obvious, or Fox, or any one of them, just noticing how freaking obvious their agenda is. It screams at you, and it's like, really, there are people who don't see that. It's actually amusing to me now. It wasn't back then, but it's amusing. So what awareness, energy, frequency can you and your body be to get to a place where you can have fun with all of this to your local advantage and receive? And as crazy as that sounds, that's always my high ground. Because you can get to the depths of despair and pain and suffering and destruction. Okay, that's one polarity. How can you have fun with it? That's the other polarity. When I can be totally across the whole spectrum of it, I can let the whole spectrum go. I'm not attached to any side of it. If I'm not willing to have fun with it yet, no, I'm attached to some polarity over here. It's like, no, you can't have fun with this. People die. Okay, well, how can I have fun with it anyway? How can my life be fun, even if other people are choosing to explore dying? Receive. How can I have my life become better as a result of my explorations and awareness and just research around this? And receive. So what play and fun with COVID and vaccines is not possible? Receive. And is there anyone who finds that's not possible to receive on that? Because if you do, it's just, you have polarity. You just clear what is everything in the way of me having fun with COVID. Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah. You can't have fun with this. Yeah, all in the pile. That's nothing. That's nothing. That's nothing. Gone. So, helpful? Not helpful?
Thank you. It was helpful.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yes, I think so as well. Very helpful.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I really liked to, I need to go back and listen to the recording when you pulled up the chart. I thought that you had changed it. You hadn't, but I need to go and grab the wording that you did there to pull in the points of view. I need to add that to my repertoire.
And I'll give you this document, so you'll have this.
Okay, cool.
Everything I shared on the screen. So yeah, cool. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
So go play and have more fun. If it feels shitty, ditch it. Don't open those fucking emails. Just if it feels funky, just delete it. You're on it. You know more than you know. That's my message. You know more than you know. Follow your awareness, listen to your awareness, and don't get tangled in it. So thank you, everybody.
Jaden,
Yes.
is it just as easy as saying whatever is still keeping me stuck or feeling tangly, I choose to destroy and uncreate all that and just throw it on my pile? I don't need to find it. I can
Nope.
just intend it.
You can just intend that. Yep. And you can also what is all the active or covert manipulation or interference that's keeping this tangly? That's what
Ooh.
I feel more in your space.
Mhm. That was big. Thank
'Cause it-
you.
Yeah, and then banish all that stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank
Cool.
you.
You're welcome.
Yes. that's good.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Go play.
Bye. Bye.
Or go to bed. Good night. Bye.
Go eat.
Yeah, I'm gonna go eat. Yeah. Bye.